Or Sameach.
Welcome back to the Listen
My
Nissim
name
show.
is Rebbe Reuven Geffen. I am here to audition for the X Factor,
We're here today
and I want to sing a song.
with Josh
It's called Karriban.
Garbe. You may have known him back then. You for sure know him now. Thanks for joining the show. Let's hear a little bit about your background and how you first got to Or Sameach.
I came to Or Sameach 21 years ago. 2002. So it's 2023 now. And so I came in 2002, and I went to a camp in Connecticut called, we called it Moodus because it was in a town. There's like a town called Moodus outside of Hartford. And they used to have these like kind of 2-week crash courses in Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
And they would take guys who have no background whatsoever, and they would bring us there, and they'd put you in a room with like a yeshiva guy. And so you have a roommate that you, like a person you would have met in your life, right? And they put you in a room with this guy, and they just teach you Torah for 2 weeks. Gemara, Mishnah, Chumash, the whole Zach. And like Hashkafa, you start asking all the questions, whatever. And then the Shabbases were really nice, and they had all the families and everything. It was a really professionally done Kiruv thing. And then after they sent me here to Or Sameach.
It was Rabbi Teitelbaum back then?
Yeah. You know Rabbi Teitelbaum?
It's called Signer Retreats.
Yeah. Rabbi
Who
Teitelbaum was the guy who called me on the phone, man. That guy was convincing.
How did you get to Moodus?
I spoke to him like a couple weeks ago.
Wow. How'd you get to Moodus in the first place?
My best friend also got interested in Judaism around the same time. So he found out about it through Partners in Torah. And then he went on the first session, and then there was another session, and then he got Rabbi Teitelbaum to convince me. There's a whole zach how we got there, and then how I ended up in Or Sameach, and I was here for 4.5 years.
You were like post high school, post college?
Way post, yeah. I never went to college. Yeah, I'm a dropout.
You were in your early 20s?
Huh?
You were in your...
I was about 24, 25 when I think I was 25 when I came. Makes sense. 2002. I was born in 77, so yeah, 25.
And your upbringing was traditional conservative Judaism?
Not at all. No, not traditional.
Chiloni?
Secular as secular can get.
Your grandparents, you know anything about their observance?
Well, I don't know. They were pretty like Jewish, even though they weren't religious. They were pretty Jewy. Yeah, my grandma spoke Yiddish, and like with her mother, I remember my great grandmother. They would speak Yiddish all the time when I was a kid. So they're very Jewy, but they were not traditional at all. Like they would not. No one in my family would be able to name the 5 books of Moses to you. Right. That's how little they know about Judaism. My dad will get mad at me. So if he sees this podcast, he's gonna get angry. I don't know.
Did you do rituals? Hanukkah or?
Hanukkah, yeah, we did Hanukkah, Passover Seder, you know, you go through the Haggadah, 20-minute Zach, and then you get hungry, right? You sit at the table, you got like Sebastian Maniscalco, his joke, he's like, I went to the Passover meal, and he's like, they sat there, they gave these pamphlets, you gotta read the pamphlets, and they say we read for 2 hours and then we eat. 2 hours. I said, I'm Italian. You sit at a table, I gotta have bread within 15 seconds. A little oil.
Yeah, because he's machmir to eat bread right after washing it.
Right, yeah, and he's like, the food they bring out is terrible. Cracker, a celery, what's going on? Just let the Italians cater the Passover meal.
So after you ordered Sameach, how long did you end up staying?
So I came, I didn't know how long I was going to be here. I just came, and the first few weeks I was felt a little strange. I knew I wanted to be in Israel. I knew I wanted to have the Israel experience. And I was kind of like thing. And then after a few weeks, I started getting really comfortable. I started enjoying it, making connections with the guys, and enjoying the shiurim a little bit more. And then and I ended up staying. I stayed for a year and a half, 2 years, about a year and a half. And then I met my future wife, and then we got married after exactly 2 years of being in yeshiva. So then after we got married, I stayed 2 more years. I stayed 2 more years here. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think it was 2 more years here. And then we went to England. And then we got divorced.
Why'd you choose England?
We don't have to that's not part of the podcast, is it?
Doesn't have to be.
No, I'm saying, do we have to start talking about
No.
Because there's enough of that stuff online about all the broken relationships and what to do and how do you get over the, the BPD and the you know, like all that stuff.
It is important to talk about, but I don't think we have time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's our.
Why'd you choose England?
Because she was from England,
Mm-hmm.
so her family was there. So they thought, you know, why don't we go there and kind of see what's like. It was cool. I liked England. England's great. I like Manchester. It's a good community. I'm going back there today.
All right.
So
I wish you safe travels in the future.
Amen.
Maybe Mashiach will come before your flight.
That you sound like Rabbi Machlis. That's something he would say. That's something he would say.
He wants you to stay.
No, he would say like, "Oh, I'm supposed to go to America tonight, but I'm hoping Mashiach's going to come in the next couple hours, and I won't have to go."
He's really fulfilling.
That's something he would actually say.
Yeah.
Actually, I've heard him. He said it to me once, and I was like, "Whoa, that was intense." Yeah? It's Gewaldige Yid. Gewaldige Yid.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your roots of your musical journey and how it developed into a career.
Yeah, I guess it is a career. I'm not sure if it's that successful of a career, but it's still a career nonetheless. I started when I was like even younger than 12, but I would say I did musicals and stuff when I was a little kid in local Toronto community theaters, and then someone saw me singing and performing, and they thought I was good, and they said, "Hey, the cast of Les Mis is hiring for the part of Gavroche in Les Mis." It was a little street kid in Les Mis. So they said, you should audition for it, and I auditioned for it, and I got the part. So that was my first professional gig, was when I was 12 in Les Mis in Toronto, and then so that's how I started singing. And I sang on national TV. Can you believe that? National TV, Sick Kids Telethon 2 years in a row. And then they invited me to sing the national anthem of the Sky Dome for a Blue Jays game, which was, in those days, sold 50,000 people. That was nervous. I was nervous. That's nerve-wracking. 50,000 people.
What were you singing?
Oh, Canada and American and the Star Spangled Banner.
Wow.
I had to do both. Because in those days, there was only one Canadian team. Oh, there was two, Montreal and Toronto. Canadian teams, so you had to sing an American anthem, right? So I did that, and then acting for a while. I was on television for a couple years. I did that, and then after that, I remember sitting around with some buddies, and when they were playing guitar, I saw this band Fish. Remember, you ever heard of the band Fish?
Yeah.
So there's a good lead player named Trey Anastasio. So I went to go see them in Montreal in 1995. And this guy played, and I was like totally blown away with, so I was like, I got to learn how to play guitar. And then I learned how to play guitar, and eventually I learned how to play a bunch of different covers, some Grateful Dead covers and Fish covers, and then someone's like, oh, well, if you want to like play open mics or whatever, you got to write your own music. So I started writing my own music. It was terrible. It was horrible. But I went and I played in cafes and whatever, open mics in Toronto, and then that's how I got started doing that. And I did that for a while, and then I came here, and then I started singing Jewish music. I started singing weddings. I started singing. I started doing what do you call it? Baal Tefillah. I learned how to do the Yamud and all these things. Baal Koreh.
Yeah.
Right. You took a nice video of me the other day, laning. It's pretty cool.
Maybe I'll insert it here.
Yeah. No. It was whatever. The video is better than the laning.
No. We really enjoyed your beautiful voice here.
Thanks.
For the time that we had you.
Thanks. Yeah, so I started doing Jewish music. I opened for Shweki once, too.
Oh, yeah.
In Manchester. But I did kind of did a lot of stuff. I never really made it big, but and then after I split up with my wife, I kind of went back to Toronto and I started getting into playing non-Jewish music again. So I started doing the open mic scene and doing random gigs. So I kind of hybrided both the Jewish and the non-Jewish music. And so now I pretty much do both now. And I've sung on the streets, man. I've sung on the streets a lot. Subways, the streets, bars, clubs, man. Lowest of the low. Corporate gigs. I've done all that stuff, But, for whatever reason, this is where it led me back to Or Sameach.
And how long have you been here?
What? This is just 1 year.
1 year, right?
Yeah, I came back for 1 year.
How do you reflect on it?
It was crazy, man. I never thought I'd be back here in a million years, but it was nice coming back and getting back in touch with with taking Yiddishkeit more seriously.
Yeah.
Because like all these, because like I feel like if you lose it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what can we say for the, I don't know what we're talking, like what the context here is, but I'm saying like if you feel like if you can dedicate yourself to your career and making money, and you can you still keep Shabbos and you still keep kashrus, but you live the rest of your life like a non-Jew, right? Whereas like I feel like here now I finally feel like now I live my life like a Jew. Okay, and sometimes you have other stuff on the side that that you might have to do to dabble in the Jewish world for whatever reasons, right? But it's the opposite of what it felt like in Toronto, whereas I felt like I lived my life like a non-Jew, but I did some Jewish stuff on the side. Whereas now I feel like this is the main thing is I live my life like a Jew, and sometimes you have to do things on the side. But I like. But I'm glad that like that's what I got from this past year was like now I feel like I'm finally like dedicating my whole being to Hashem, and that's that's where you feel that's where a person should a Jew should feel more comfortable. Full dedication.
Mm-hmm. So, you don't.
Not that I'm here to pontificate or tell people what to do. I'm just telling you about me.
Yeah. You think you'll be able to take it with you this time without
Yeah. Dedicated to it. And I also have a 15-year-old son who's going to keep me on the straight and narrow. So I have somebody else now to keep me to crack the whip in case I get out of line.
Yeah.
But I have to do it for him too.
Right.
So like as a father, you've got a responsibility to make sure that your kids, like Avram Avinu, right? Why does Hashem say he loved Avram Avinu? Because he commands his children to follow in his ways, right? He knows, he's gonna get his children to do exactly like him. So we have to, as a parent, you have to be a good mashpia on your children.
Right. Last question about your Balkore reading. How did you first begin to memorize the ta'amim?
It's like a pattern, right? It's like you have to recognize the pattern of where everything's lined up in the Sefer Torah, and it takes a couple of practices. You have to practice it beforehand, and you have a tikkun, so you have the ta'amim on the side, and you have without ta'amim what it's going to look like, right? Without it. So you practice it, and then you memorize essentially. But it's because it's not like memorize like in my head. So it's not like I remember it now. Start saying it to you off by heart. But if I look at it, I can remember it because I recognize the patterns, right? So it's almost like it's like a song or like I said, it's like a pattern, right? So you remember like where everything's lined up. So if the Sefer Torah, sometimes you get an old Sefer Torah and it's not lined up, and then I lose it because I'm used to practicing it, looking. I remember what it looks like, right? And that's how I remember which different tamim are going to be in places based on where it's set up. So that's how I memorize it.
You use the first word on the column as your cue, or whatever ta'am stands out most?
No, I don't really think of it that way. I just I go through it and I just try to rehearse it at least 5 to 10 times before I do it. So I know that once I've done it enough times, I feel comfortable.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, it's kind of like memorizing a song, right?
I see.
Similar. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it's similar.
Oh, wow, interesting. I didn't think about it that way. So really, you're memorizing the melody first, and then the lyrics, the words.
No, the words come first. The words are more important, but we'll screw up the starts and stops of the psukim if you don't know the tamim, right? So if you don't know what all the trops are, you're going to get confused as to where the starts and stops are of the pasuk. So for me, I need to remember what the tamim are. Right?
So you memorize it for every single word in the end?
Yeah, I do for every single word. Absolutely. Some people are not as machmir, but then they start, usually they get pretty sloppy. If they're not like, certain people are professional, they do it all the time. so they know it off the top of their head. Whereas other people, if they try to wing it, they're gonna make a lot of mistakes. I hate making mistakes.
You were always on the dot.
Yeah, I hate making mistakes.
After a few months, though, will you, like what you memorize right now this week, will you remember next week?
No.
Oh, so it's about your refresher that really.
Yeah. You have to go back and you'll have to look at it again, right? So, but by next year, after doing this for a whole year, I'm gonna go back and it'll be easier, and it'll probably take me less time to practice it than it did last year.
Because
last
it sounds familiar.
Yeah. So once I go, oh yeah, no, I remember exactly the different. Yeah.
Right. And how do you handle your inner critic of perfectionism that tells you should have done better?
Good question. How do you handle it? I don't know. I mean, I guess you got to get to a certain point in your life where you say, I tried my, you try your best, and that's all you can do. If usually like I'll be more critical if like, oh, I didn't put enough, I didn't practice well enough, I didn't, but it's like I can't criticize them. If I make a mistake, you make a mistake. An honest mistake is an honest mistake. Yeah. You can't get mad at yourself for that. Right. But you can get mad at yourself if you didn't do the proper work that you needed to do, that you knew, oh, I know I could have done, right? Right. If I had just done this better, right? Right. It's like if you go out with a girl or something that you know, and you know there's something wrong, but you continue on going on, and then you kind of it just gets worse and worse and worse. But you already knew from the beginning, and then you go. So the mistake was really that at the beginning you didn't recognize, or that was your mistake, right? But if you did everything you were supposed to do, and then things didn't go well, you can't really get mad at yourself for that, right? Right. You can't get mad when things don't go your way, because things are not always going to go your way. You're going to make mistakes in life, in laning and in life. Right.
I guess if one grows up in a family structure where they receive a lot of criticism for little mistakes, then we become used to criticizing ourselves.
It could be, yeah. It could be all, yeah. It could be. It could be. That's a whole nother topic going down. But like as a musician too, like I played so much in my life. I played so much that by the time I would get on stage and perform, and I'd get up there and sing with my friend Chris in Toronto. We used to sing together a lot, and like we were so good at what we did together that whenever a mistake was made, he just didn't care, right? It was like because you're so, it's just like you get so past the point of even really taking it seriously. I mean, obviously, laning is something that's taken very, very seriously. You don't want to, but again, like I said, if you have someone standing beside you, if you make one mistake, you miss a word, they're going to correct you. It's not the end of the world, right? It's only if you get up there and you really don't have good preparation, and then you start making so many mistakes. You're embarrassing yourself, but you're also it's kind of a disgrace to the Torah too. Right. It's like if you respect the Torah and you're gonna lane from the Torah, you gotta take it seriously. You gotta pronounce the words clearly, and you gotta not just be blazing through it and rushing through it like it doesn't matter, or doing it super quiet like some people do. Like I can't hear you, dude.
Some people.
We're in the middle of an interview, okay? This is for Nissim. Okay, so you got to show some respect. Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I don't remember. Hashem probably took it out of my mind as a cue to end.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on the podcast. It's been a pleasure. You're a mensch. You're a talented guy, and it's been great hanging with you for the past year.
Yeah, it's been
awesome.
It was good to know you and talk and schmooze.
Yeah, me too, brother.
Hear you play at that one wedding at Massey's wedding.
That was wicked. Yeah, it'd be nice to do more. Maybe I'll do yours.
Amen.
All
right, wishing you a safe flight. Thanks so much for joining the show. I'm Nissim. Until next time, take care. May we merit to see Mashiach soon.
Amen. Shkoyach.